What is up, everybody? Joe here, budgetboss.ca. Often imitated, never duplicated. First things first, I want you to like, subscribe. I want you to double that Insta screen. I want you to follow on Facebook and Twitter. Get involved, become a client. Yeah, budgetboss.ca/contact if you want to book your meeting. Let's get into yesterday's post, and I am talking about one of my favorite subjects, life insurance. And in case you don't know, I am biased. I sell life insurance. I also develop financial plans, and one thing is for certain is that life insurance is an integral part of any financial plan, and that to me is something that I take very, very seriously. I personally hand out life insurance claims on the regular several times a month, and I sell many life insurance policies. My goal with my clients is to make sure they have the right policy with the right coverage to fit them and their needs, and most importantly, fit their budget. So my post yesterday was about life insurance, why you don't have it and why you should have it. So these are the common excuses of why people don't get life insurance, and people put it off. And I've been in this industry close to 5 years now, and I've heard a lot of excuses on why people don't have life insurance. And I'm going to go through 10 of them today, describe why these people are saying no to life insurance and why they're wrong and they should have it. And I'm just going to get right into it because it gets a little spicy, but that's just the way I am. So let's take a look. So why you don't have life insurance and why you should. Life insurance, in case you don't know, used to be called death insurance, but they realized that people won't buy death insurance because it sounds like you're buying insurance that's going to make you die. And obviously back in the day, with people being as superstitious as they are, people today are kind of superstitious, it seems. But way back in the day, people thought that that was bad luck, buying something with the name of death insurance. So they changed the name, livened it up a little bit, made it called life insurance, and this is what it's called now. And it's been that for a while. In case you don't know, life insurance has been around since the early 1700s. The company that I represent has been around for over 170 years, longer than the country of Canada itself. So they know a thing or two about life insurance. People have been buying it for centuries now. It's a valuable product, and I want to get into exactly why you should have it and everyone should have it. The big thing about life insurance is a lot of people think they don't need it. Well, you do. Well, why might you not need it? Well, you are gonna die. You are gonna die. That's a fact. I'm never gonna die, but you will, and everyone you know will. And if anything that this COVID pandemic has proven is that, yes, life is fleeting, life is scarce, life can change in an instant. And the one thing that we want to do is actually protect ourselves. Unless you plan on actually just floating down a river and going over a waterfall and being buried at sea, you will need some form of coverage to protect you, meaning that you're not going to leave any expenses back on anyone that loves you. That's the big thing. You want to take responsibility for your death, and death costs money. And I know this firsthand because I deal with people at the point of death, when they are grieving, when they actually are having people coming at them from every angle asking for money. The funeral home, the government, you got taxes, you got people within the estate, you got relatives that are asking for money, you got the bank asking for money, you got all these weird fees that pop up when you die, especially the funeral. Now, even a cremation, it costs upwards of $5,000 to $7,000, and that is something that used to be the cheap way out. Funeral homes have figured this out. They've realized that most people are choosing cremation because what do they care? They're dead. So they've upped the price on that. They charge you $200 for the box you're going to be burned in. If you're going to get an urn, the urn itself is upwards of $500 to $1,000. This is insane. Death is not free. And the government of Canada, I don't know what it's like in the States, but the government of Canada only gives you $2,000 as a CPP death benefit. So that is your existence in Canada. Here you go. Here's your $2,000. Have a nice death. So that is something that people need to realize, is that death costs money. And if you are a responsible person, you need life insurance, some form of life insurance. Doesn't mean it needs to be expensive. You just need something. And this is what adulting is all about. The next part, people say, well, I'm young, I don't need it. Young people die all the time. And sadly, a 19-year-old here in London, Ontario, died from COVID. Very sad story. Honestly, I don't know what to say about that other than this is tragic. Young people die all the time. Young people get diseases. Young people get in accidents. Young people get hurt. Young people get killed. Now, the big thing about it is that when you are young, it's actually the best time to get life insurance. It's the cheapest. You are the healthiest you'll ever be. It is the easiest to get because it's quick, it's fast. You often don't even have to do a medical. It gets instant approval oftentimes. And you get preferred rates because you're so young. Your rates are actually cheaper than the average person. So you take that quote that you got, it's often shaved even lower. I have a client who's 21 years old, female, non-smoker. She pays $11 a month for $500,000 worth of term life insurance coverage. That to me is amazing. The older you get, the more expensive it gets. And honestly, to me, the best time to get is when you're young and healthy and it's easy to get and you lock it in and you don't have to think about it. It's the prudent thing to do. And it's the one thing you could do, that's the cheapest thing you could do, that could set you up later in life, as opposed to saving money, which is difficult to do often when you're young and you can't afford to do that because you have debt payments, you're in school, something like that. It's difficult. I was there. I had a mountain of debt. I was in school trying to pay that off and also, live my best life. That was difficult. So when you're young, you can lock in something for the price of a beer at a bar. And it's putting money towards your financial future and setting the stones in place that are going to make you successful in the future. It's expensive. Well, the thing is, I just proved it wasn't. It's not expensive. But over time, it does get more expensive. Obviously, when you're older, it's going to be more expensive when they're younger. Life insurance works off of risk. So the riskier you are to the life insurance company, the more expensive it is. I.e., people who are unhealthy pay more than people who are healthy. Or people who are older and are more likely to die pay more than people who are younger and less likely to die. But the thing is that people need to understand about it being expensive. If it ends up being more expensive for you, i.e. if you're a little bit older or you have a health issue, that means you are a riskier candidate for life insurance. Logically, if you're a riskier candidate for life insurance, that means you are at a greater risk of dying. So logically, doesn't that mean you should get the life insurance because you have a greater risk of dying? If you're young and healthy, you probably have less of a risk than dying than this unhealthy person. So for them, if you were to be irresponsible and not get life insurance, it makes more sense than that unhealthy older person. So it's all relative. It's all relative. And ultimately, if it's more expensive, you probably should take it because yeah, you're at a higher risk of dying, and life insurance price their policies very competitively. They're not trying to overprice you. They're trying to get your business. They want your money, but they also don't want you to die. They don't want you to die. They want you to live forever and pay forever. What that means is that, number one, you're happy because you live forever, but number two, you're also covered just in case something happens. Now, that's how life insurance works, and the ins and outs of it, they seem confusing, but they're not. Life insurance, they want you to live. You are betting on the fact that you may die and you are going to take care of the ones you love. So it being expensive, that's not that great of an excuse. It's actually pretty damn cheap. You can't get it. Yes, you can. I don't care if you have HIV or AIDS or cancer or you're on your deathbed, you can still get life insurance. The only factor involved with that is whether or not you will have all the exclusions for your health within it. So for instance, if you have cancer, you might have an exclusion against cancer. So if you die from something else other than cancer, or it may not pay out in a year. It may take a year before it pays out fully, or you just get your money back within that year. I personally have a life insurance policy rated for people who have health issues. I have ulcerative colitis, which I feel like a healthy person, but this chronic condition that I have leaves me at a heightened risk for cancer. So the life insurance company that I work for would not give me coverage. I had to seek an alternative company that would give me coverage. The only difference between the coverage I have and traditional life insurance coverage is mine's slightly more expensive. You can get dirt cheap coverage for pennies a day with traditional life insurance companies. If you go with the company I go with, it's still really cheap. It's just not as cheap as it could be. Anyone can get it. It just matters how much you can get and what exclusions exist within that policy. So if you think you're hard to insure, call a broker. shoot me a DM, because anyone can get life insurance. It just has to fit within your budget, and that's something we can determine together. But this, I can't get it because I'm not healthy. That's not true. Anyone can get coverage. I don't want to make someone else rich. Well, you know what? I've heard this before. That might be one of the most selfish things I've ever heard in my life. So, I don't want to make someone else rich. In all reality, life insurance doesn't make anyone rich. This isn't back murder mystery days of Matlock and whatnot, where people were actually killing each other for their life insurance policies. What life insurance does is it actually helps your loved ones not become poor because you died. So you're replacing income, you're paying off debts, you're making sure that your obligations are taken care of. Even if you make minimum wage your whole life, you will make over $1 million during your worker years. So what you need to understand is that there's a value to you, there's a value to the work that you put out, and there's a value to the money that you make and you help people around you with. So you need to make sure that you put a value on top of your head, because let's be totally honest, you're worth it. People don't think they're worth what they're worth. I actually ask people this question: what do they think they're worth? If you were to put a dollar amount on it, people give me numbers. Oh, whatever, 500,000, couple 100,000. Someone asked me that question, I say $10 million. They're like, $10 million? Yeah, right. You're worth that much? I'm like, I think I'm worth that much. Why not? Why am I not worth that much? I feel that the potential that I have within my life is worth easily that much money. So to me, life insurance is a no-brainer. If I'm not here, everyone in the world's obviously going to be devastated. So I want to make sure that there is a dollar value attached to that, giving the people that I love, and even some of the people that I don't love so much, but I want to make sure they're taking care of some money as well. I have no money. That's a common excuse. Well, I don't really have money, or let's wait till I have some more money. Or, well, if you don't have money, just like the higher price for the life insurance, logically you should get the life insurance. If you have no money, I would argue that maybe you're not prioritizing your money. Maybe what you need to do is actually do a budget and see where you're leaking money, and then prioritize some of your money towards life insurance. Also, if you have no money, chances are it means you have obligations every month, such as mortgage payments, bills, debt obligations, debt payments. This means that you should get life insurance to cover these obligations should you not be here. Honestly, in my mind, there is only one thing above paying your life insurance policy. That, to me, is the roof over your head and the food in your belly. Beyond that, life insurance comes next, because you need to live. So if you have no roof over your head, if you have no food in your belly, that's one thing. But after that, if you can't provide those things for the ones around you, then what good is your car? Or what good is your phone? Or what good is your internet bill? None of that matters to me as much as life insurance, because you need to understand that the most important thing you can do is live. And if you can't provide that life for the people around you, then life insurance is crucial. It's more important than your cell phone bill or your internet bill, because you can live without those things, but your family cannot live without you. Quite simple, yet people don't look at it that way. So the I have no money excuse, do a budget, check it out. Again, I've already proven that life insurance can be cheap. So the I have no money excuse to me does not fly. It's a bad argument. I don't have kids. Well, neither do I. So that means we got money. Woohoo! We got money. We don't have kids. Life is great. If you don't have kids, if you are planning on having kids, get the life insurance while you're young and it's cheap and you're still healthy, like I already mentioned. But if you don't have kids, that doesn't mean that people don't depend on you. And it also doesn't mean that people don't care about you and that maybe you want to leave a legacy behind. To me, I don't have kids and I have a $500,000 term life insurance policy. The reason being is because I want to make sure I leave a mark on this world if I leave too early. But I also know that I'm going to be doing things in the next couple of years where this policy is actually going to be useful for me. I'm going to need this amount of coverage, and in fact more than this. So this is my way of getting my foot in the door and actually putting a policy in place that's going to allow me to grow into the future. And if I can't get it in the future, I have this coverage. So you need to look at this as another part of it. I feel that if you want to be wealthy in your lifetime, you need to make sure that you're putting money into something that you will never touch. What this means is basically you may never touch your retirement money, for instance. You may never sell your home and reap the rewards of selling your home. You may never use your life insurance. And in fact, you probably will never lose your life insurance because that means you're dead. So you need to get in that mindset of I'm going to sacrifice some money every month to take care of obligations for something that I may not use. If you can get into that mindset, you will be wealthy. And the reason being is this. If you feel that every dollar you have needs to be accessed at all given times, you will never save a cent. You will never invest a cent. You will never pay off your home early. And you won't buy life insurance because you don't feel that that is important. You need to get in the mindset that money gone is money gone. And you know what? You let it do its thing and it comes back later. It's the same thing with life insurance. This is money you will never use. It is a selfless thing, not a selfish thing. So you need to get into that mindset of putting money away, not using it, and reaping the rewards later in life. And for life insurance, it's the selfless mindset that will put you into the future and propel your wealth moving forward. Workplace coverage. Workplace coverage is a great base for what you want to do in your life. Workplace coverage covers you usually between 1 and 2 times your annual salary. Sometimes you pay for additional blocks of insurance. I would recommend you do not do that. Reason being is this. You're paying for extra blocks where oftentimes these extra blocks you can get personally owned insurance and it is cheaper. So if you want me to evaluate your group package at work, which I do on a daily basis for people, I could see if it's actually cheaper to get your own coverage, which most of the time it actually is, because the people that are paying for these extra blocks are usually young and healthy, and they're paying for the old sick people. That's how workplace coverage works. Number 2, you're not always going to work there. So you don't want to work at a place and then lose your coverage if you lose your job, find a better opportunity, and then you can't get coverage. Remember that thing when you're young and healthy, you get the coverage when it's cheap? Well, do that because the workplace coverage that you have, if you lose that coverage, and even when you retire, let's say you don't lose the coverage, but then you retire, you're going to lose it then. Maybe your insurance needs later in life will also be great as well. You want to make sure that you own your coverage and it's you that owns it, not the company you work for. Also, personally owned life insurance pays out quicker. Some group plans, i.e. Manulife, what that plan often does is make you wait and wait and wait and wait. And that to me is bullshit because life insurance should pay out quick. You want life insurance to come to you within a week or 2 so your loved ones can make sure that they are taking care of those obligations I already mentioned that are going to hit you when you die or hit your loved ones when you die. And you want that money in their hands quick because everything else when you die gets frozen. Your bank accounts get frozen, your investments get frozen, everything gets frozen. You want to make sure that there's something that they can access right away to take care of those obligations when you pass on. Mortgage insurance, honestly, the fact that this crap is even sold is beyond my belief. It is my mission in life to make sure that no one in Canada has mortgage insurance ever again. I want everyone to have personally owned level term insurance, 10, 20, or 30-year coverage to make sure that they cover off their debt obligations, including their mortgage. Mortgage insurance uses what's called post-claim underwriting, and if you click on the post in here, you will see what that means. What it means is that they investigate whether or not you should have had the insurance after the claim is made. So you die, the insurance company investigates whether or not they should have given it to you in the first place, and then they decide whether or not to pay out the claim. Shouldn't they have actually investigated whether or not you should have had the insurance before they gave you the insurance? That's post-claim underwriting. What you want is underwriting that's done at the time of application. Reason being is this: it's peace of mind. You know whether or not you're covered or not. You don't want to be paying into an insurance coverage thinking your family's going to be taken care of when they're not. And there are horror stories about this. It is absolutely tragic what happens to some families when they go to collect on their mortgage life insurance and it won't pay out because the application was done incorrectly or the right questions were not asked or you accidentally answered the question incorrectly. You do not want to do that, and you do not want to pay into coverage that you think will cover you and you get nothing out of it. Here's the other thing. Mortgage life insurance is often more expensive. I have clients that pay $75 for the mortgage life insurance. A simple quote from me showed them that they could get the exact same amount of coverage for $27 a month. $50 a month roughly in savings, and that to me is insane. Mortgage life insurance, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. And all it takes is a simple Google search. You don't even have to listen to me. Type in the Googles, is mortgage life insurance worth it? All the articles will come up on how it's a pile of garbage, and life insurance applications can be done quickly over the phone and email. You don't even need to meet in person if you don't want to meet a life insurance agent such as myself, but I recommend you probably want to meet me. It's probably a good thing. But yeah, get rid of the mortgage life insurance. It's a pile of crap. Last but not least, I hate insurance salesmen. Yes, a lot of why people don't get life insurance is because they just don't want to talk to a life insurance salesman. I encounter it all the time. And I'll be totally honest with you, I don't blame you. Life insurance salesmen oftentimes are not the... How do I put this? They're not the most level people you will ever meet. How we get compensated with life insurance is quite simple. The more money you pay per month for your policy, the more compensation I get. So for instance, if you pay $20 a month for your term life insurance, I make X. If you pay $100 per month for your term life insurance, or whole life insurance, or universal life insurance, or variable universal life insurance, I make 5X. So the bigger amount you pay per month, the bigger the compensation check I get. The problem with that is that will often incentivize the life insurance salesman to sell you something that you may or may not need, or may not be the best form of coverage for you. A simple policy to go by is I want 10 to 12 times my income, and that is a Dave Ramsey recommendation. I agree with it as well. 10 to 12 times my annual income. So for instance, if you make $50,000 a year, you need anywhere from $500,000 to $600,000 worth of term life insurance. You want to lock that in for as long as possible, so 10, 20, or 30-year coverage. 10-year coverage if you're approaching retirement. There's no point in going past that. 20-year coverage or 30-year coverage, or term to 65 coverage if you are younger, and you can manipulate your policy over time to extend it as time goes on to get the cheapest rate possible. It should be your goal to pay as little amount per month for your life insurance as possible to get the most amount of coverage. This does not occur with whole life or universal life insurance, cash value insurance as they call it. You want to make sure that you are getting level term insurance. There's a place for whole life insurance, and oftentimes for young people, there is no place for them. What you want to make sure is that you're spending as little as possible. The problem is with life insurance salesmen, they often will aim for you to get that whole life insurance because it will pay them a higher amount. And it's quite simple. That's the only reason why. I've looked at all the angles. I've looked at all the reasons why. I've looked at all the objections to getting whole life instead of term. I cannot find a good enough reason. There's only very few circumstances where I see this is actually useful, and I can go over those in another post. But for now, if you are curious about which one's better for you, give me a shout, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, joe@budgetboss.ca. I can take a look into that in your specific situation. But for the most part, you are never wrong with getting level term insurance for the cheapest price possible, but get the most coverage as possible. So that to me is why life insurance salesmen oftentimes get a bad rap, is because there's many of them that are trying to push high premiums on you on a monthly basis that you may or may not need, and most of the time you just don't need. And that's kind of how I feel about it. This approach has actually done me quite well in the industry. I sell many life insurance policies, and my hope is to sell many more. I want a lot of people to get cheap coverage that covers them dynamically, and they can take care of their families and not be burdened, and save and invest for the future and pay down their mortgages, as opposed to having this albatross of a life insurance policy that's weighing on them all the time. And that's my goal with my clients. So that was my post from yesterday. The need and the budget from a life insurance policy are the two most important things. That is what I'll leave you on. There's got to be a need, and everyone has a need, as I've already established, and it's got to fit in your budget. And this is why I always share my monthly budget sheet, because I want people to get that budget. And then you can see how you can fit life insurance into that monthly budget. So that was my post yesterday. If you have questions about life insurance, just shoot me a message. I sell lots and lots of life insurance, and I want people to understand that my goal with life insurance is always going to remain the same. get you the most coverage for the cheapest price possible. You could have a policy right now that is term insurance that you could be paying too much for. Oftentimes, people have bought a policy and it's been in place for a long time. It's gone down. People are living longer and rates go down the longer people live, and every year or so they adjust the mortality tables, which means that life insurance gets cheaper as time goes on, as we all start to live longer. So I want people to pull out those dusty life insurance policies, shoot them my way. I'll run you a quote. I'll show you exactly what you're up against. We can adjust your policy quite simply over the phone or via email and make sure that you're paying as little as possible. So I'm going to leave it at this. I want to say it is the 26th of January, 1 year from Kobe Bryant passing away in that tragic helicopter accident, with 9 people total passing on, including his daughter Gianna Bryant. And honestly, that was a sad day, and it seems that that event sort of got eclipsed real quick. Obviously, pandemic and everything going on with that. And to me, Kobe was a huge inspiration to me. His tenacity, his drive to win, his fearlessness, his competitive nature. I like to think that I am a competitive person as well. But obviously that level of competitiveness and that drive to win is a huge thing. And, you know, dealing with troubles earlier in his career, overcoming them and sort of moving past them and trying to be a better man, a better human, and a better father is a big thing. And to me, like, this anniversary is somewhat of a somber one. It just shows that life is fleeting, and it sort of fits that we're talking about life insurance at this time, because I'm sure that no one in the Bryant family or anyone around thought that that could happen. Obviously, you know, in that sort of situation, you hope that everyone is taking care of that is remaining Vanessa Bryant and the rest of the family. And that's where life insurance comes into play. And I hate to talk about sort of products with an event like that. Bits and life around us as we're dealing with right now shows you how scarce it can be. It shows you how important all the things I talk about are: having an emergency fund, having a retirement plan, having extended savings in a tax-free savings account, having low mortgage payments and paying them down as quick as possible. If you don't have a mortgage, you didn't need the deferral. If you have no debt, you don't need debt relief. Or if you got your $2,000 stimulus check or your $2,000 CERB check from the Canadian, that would suffice if you didn't have all these mountainous payments. And it's not about who's right or who's wrong. It's about taking care of yourself and the people around you, putting the plan in place. And obviously, in my opinion, that includes life insurance. And I want everyone to think about getting it. And if you have questions, you have concerns, it's not about pressure sales. It's about finding the right fit for you. And there are insurance advisors like myself that are into that sort of holistic planning that makes sure that you are covered and your wishes are fulfilled. No pressure sales is about doing the right thing at the right time. So that's my post from yesterday. I'm going to be sharing it again tomorrow. Check it out. Check all the reasons why life insurance is important and why you should have it. And if you don't have it, why you should think about getting it. So have a great night, guys. Peace.